Hi folks, Crassus here. This is going to be quite a short video on City Skylines, and it's about how I found how to make a decent amount of money so you can keep everything going. If you look at the bottom of the screen, you can see that I'm on my way to 16 million credits, or whatever it is you want to call it, and I haven't done anything in the game to I haven't got any mods running that or anything like that. So I have got mods running for other things, but nothing to do with making money, if there is such a thing. And as you can see, this is not a particularly big city that I built, and what I've found is, with a lot of experimentation, is that it's just about being careful when you're building, and watching your expenses, keeping an eye on what the people want, what the citizens want, and what gets on their nerves and what doesn't. So I'm going to go through a few things just to give you a few pointers for what they're worth. And I haven't got everything right either. There's a lot of things that I'm not getting right, and I'm not sure why. I've not been playing this very long, and probably since early part of January, and I haven't had a lot of time due to other work commitments. So well, let's just have a look. So the main priority I have is to deal with is pollution, because one of the biggest things that tends to happen quite a lot is the well, apart from the fact that you can never guarantee the weather, as you can see, one of the main issues that I had in earlier attempts to build cities is pollution, and pollution is a real nightmare, particularly when it gets into the water, because it makes all the citizens sick. Oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah, we know why that is, because it's clouded over. I've got everything running on solar power, so it's clouded over, and what it's done is it's temporarily messed up the electrics in the city, but that'll come back in a minute when the weather clears up, and hopefully nobody will move out. So yeah, pollution is a nightmare. It gets into the water, and as soon as it gets into the water, they start getting sick, and as soon as they start getting sick, they either die or they move out, and they just don't want to stay. So that's one to keep an eye on. And the best way to deal with that is to keep everything that generates pollution away from the city. When you look at the zoning, industrial zones like this, they create an enormous amount of pollution. And the problem with that is it bleeds off into the city. So if you're using things like water towers and stuff like that, if you accidentally stand one of those in a polluted area, then that water will get contaminated and it will start making everyone sick. So it's just really not good. So keep an eye on that. If you can use wind power, then that's good too, but what you need to do really is do what I've done here, create a bit of a wind farm. This is what I did very early in this, and make use of that just to get things rolling, because otherwise they get annoyed with the noise from the wind turbines. So it's not easy to keep your citizens happy in this game, to be honest. So anyway, this is just a small area. I think this is where I got started, actually. So as you noticed, I call them toffee-nosed twats, because basically that's what they really are. They're always complaining, they never shut up. This whole area used to be low residential housing, this stuff, or low density housing, and I've gradually upgraded it, and I got rid of a lot of the housing, and now we've got businesses in there as well, and it did quite well, and it started to make some money. In this particular game, I totally avoided the industrial zone. I didn't build any industry in that respect. I went straight for offices, and oh, by the way, yeah, I have opened the game up so that I've got access to all the attributes, really, rather than keep starting from scratch, because that gets boring after a while. Once you've done it a few times, it's easier just to jump straight in. So that was what I did there. So So once you put your little society together, you start building your little housing estate, if you like. What you need to do is make sure there's certain things in there to keep them happy, like parks and various things, like merry-go-rounds and bouncy castles and all that sort of stuff. A couple of elementary schools come in handy, so when you're laying them down, you'll notice that as you go to lay a school down, for instance, you can see it's all green. The green areas where the schools are, so if it's green they're happy. Obviously there's no schools over here because this is industrial zones and office zones and whatever else. So that's about that really. So get a couple of schools going to get your people educated, then build offices, because if you build offices you don't get all the contamination with the pollution and everything else. So there's something really going on here with these electrics. I've got to sort that out. Right, okay, I think I've sorted it out. I'm on pause at the moment. Yeah, I've got a major issue with electrics going on here, and I don't know why it happened, because I didn't do anything. I was busily talking away to you guys, and what happened from there was all the electrics went off in the city, and I thought it was to do with the weather, because it had clouded over and the solar panels weren't getting so much sunlight, but that's really not the case here. What happened for some peculiar reason? Well, you can see this one flashing away here. Let's get rid of that. What happened for some reason or other? The boundary for the electricity supply seemed to clear off or move. So it moved away from this pylon. Let's just have a look at that. Yeah, this was the last pylon on the line, and for some reason or other, this boundary has moved away from there. So it wasn't picking up any of the electrics and carrying it across to the city. Very weird, very strange. Got no idea how that happened at all. So let's just see if we've cured it. There they go. That's it. That's it. They should be happy. Hopefully that hasn't been too disastrous, because I'll let that run on for a bit. So anyway, back to where I was. Yeah, these are not creating pollution. What's creating pollution is the incinerators, because I'm using them rather than landfill sites. The trouble with landfill sites is they get filled up, and you don't often notice that they've done it. And once you've got a large amount of properties built, and as soon as you start getting a few traffic problems, which we'll talk about in a minute, the rubbish starts to pile up, and then they start complaining about that as well. It's just never-ending complaining. So, or never-ending complaints, I should say. So let's just have a quick look at traffic, because as you can see, I've got a seriously complicated nightmare going on down here. And one of the biggest enemies to any city when you're building it is traffic. So when I started this, I did this little section first over on this side, and then I thought, right, okay, so if I'm going to start getting into the mainland here, where do I want to start, and then what sort of road layouts are we going to have? Because we're going to need some roundabouts of the issue. Roundabouts really take care of all sorts of traffic problems. So and this little tool up here, this is amazing. It's brilliant, because you can use this to stop cars from going up certain streets or different types of vehicles. You can ban vehicles from different areas. So one of the biggest issues that you have, that you're always going to have with your city, as far as traffic is concerned, is for some peculiar reason the garbage trucks. As soon as you start getting quite a few landfill sites down or incinerators put down, you suddenly find that you've got hundreds of garbage trucks running or trying to run around everywhere, and they just clog up all the streets. And the other thing that does that as well is buses. Buses are an absolute nightmare for clogging everything up. So I'll come back to buses in a minute, and I'll show you how I've dealt with that issue. So the road systems, you just have to really watch what goes on. You start to see traffic. I was having absolute nightmares here. As you can see, there's still some small queues, but there's just nothing like it was. I mean, this roundabout was absolutely jammed solid all the time, and the emergency people couldn't get through. There's one down there. Look, they couldn't get through. That there was constant problems in that respect. So it's about making sure that the traffic always goes in the directions it needs to go in, or it wants to go in, and making sure that you allocate your lanes properly, because you often have vehicles sitting on this side that want to turn right, for instance, and because they want to turn right, they're holding everyone else up behind them. This doesn't want to turn right. This can't turn right because I've made sure that the right turn lane here is designated as a right turn lane. So the only traffic that's going to get into that lane will be vehicles that want to turn right. So anyway, but that's really made a big difference. So I was still having trouble. I was still having massive queues, and I was particularly getting queues coming up these ramps, and it was building up all the way down here, all the way down to there. And any emergency services that needed to get through just couldn't, and people were dropping dead all over the place. So it was getting really ugly. So the first thing I did was I took this ramp off up here just to sort of divert some of the traffic away, so they didn't have to wait to go round the roundabout before they could go off down that road or up to this part of the city here. And that helped. But I was still having trouble with it queuing up. So the next thing I did was I built an underpass, and that goes right away through underneath here and comes up here. As we can see, we've got a little bit of traffic, but it moves. It's all moving. The other side of it as well is about the size of the roundabouts that you use. If you use roundabouts made out of small roads like this, then obviously not too much traffic can get through. So I always use bits of highway, and because none of that's two-way, and that gets the job done. And if you notice, all the roundabouts are big, but there's plenty of room on them. So there's plenty of room for vehicles, like particularly emergency vehicles, to be able to swing round and get round other stationary vehicles to go off to where they're going to. Because, like I said earlier, we have a city of whingers, and they do complain. There's another university there. Schools at universities are extremely important. If you don't put them down, you'll have brain dead idiots living in your society, and you'll never get anywhere. Now, in the comments, it'd be good if people know this game far better than I do, and there will be people out there that know this game far better than I do. I want to know how you get high-rise buildings in office areas, because it doesn't seem to matter how many assets I put down, how many services I put down, it doesn't seem to make a difference. That doesn't seem to ever want to go on to the next, or make that jump. So anyway, in order to make your city prosperous, it's a good idea to invite other people in, and the best way you're going to invite other people in is to make it attractive and put things in there that they want to come and see. So we got things like that, the aquarium, expo centre, stuff like that. I did have a couple of major big buildings here. I had one which was a huge building to do with I don't know, business or something, and the other one was to do with city services like buses and transport and all the rest of it. I will come back to buses in a minute, because that needs talking about. But so being as this here is a main route into the city, I thought I'd have a couple of tolls there just to keep a little bit of cash coming in, So you just put them in and you whack them up as high as you can, which is about four. It's about 4 credits for a large vehicle and 2 credits for a car, but that does build up after a while, particularly given the amount of traffic flow that goes through both of them. So this being sort of like the gateway to the city, I thought I'd put a few bits in here that would appeal. So we've got the airport. The airport's handy, so the visitors turn up, get off the planes and whatever else. They've got all these wonderful things to see. This is called... my city's called Ugly Town, so I changed the name of the Statue of Liberty to Statue of Ugliness because I just thought that was fitting. Got cinema there because we all like to go to the pictures. I couldn't find a Pizza Hut or whatever to put in, but that would have been it. And then there's this hypermarket. That's another one that pulls in some tourists and whatever else. So how do they all get to where they want to go to? My answer to that was I've tried in the past with buses. Buses, a bit like garbage trucks, tend to really clog up and really sort of congest everywhere. So, and they hold up traffic all over the place. So. I gave it some thought and I thought, okay, well, let's try and do it a different way. So what I've done is I've created a huge underground network, and as you can see, that gets an enormous amount of use. Oh look, there's a little merry-go-round, look, see, or carousel, or whatever you want to call it. I have things like that dotted around all over the place because it just keeps all the residents happy. Yeah, so getting back to a transport system, it looks an absolute mess underground, but it serves a purpose and it works really well. Let's just show you. See, there it is. It's huge. It runs around all over the city, stopping at various different places. You can just put stops in everywhere, and this keeps buses off the roads. You don't need to have buses. I could have done it with monorails and various other. I'm going to experiment with that in future videos. But this is, for me, this worked out to be the best way. And in order to encourage heavy use of it, I set the where is it? Free public transport. That was what I had originally. But that was starting to work out that the maintenance costs to keep it all alive and whatever else was starting to have a bit of a backward effect on the income. So once it was quite well established, I then changed it to they got to pay for it. I mean, let's face it, they got a good place to live, so they shouldn't be whinging about that. Right, okay, so let's just have a look here. So that's sort of transport taken care of and whatever else. I've got an airport over here. This is just for passengers. I was getting big nightmares with the airports. They were getting clogged up, and what I was having was lots of planes circling over this all the time, and I couldn't stop it from happening. And when I looked closely at them, they were cargo planes, and I don't know why, because I'd got a cargo airport. I think my original cargo airport was here, like this one is, and I couldn't understand why they were why the cargo planes were all circling over the normal airport. But and I still haven't really worked out why they were doing it. But what cured it, or what seemed to cure it, was the fact that I put in another cargo airport, which is this one, just so that I can move more and more stuff about and also import stuff from outside the city as well. No idea what's going on here. That looks like a real nightmare. I might have to come back to that in a little while and see if I can fix it. Don't quite understand why it's happening, because the traffic's moving well around this roundabout. Perhaps I'll have to oh, I think I can see why. they're not making use of all 3 lanes, are they? They're all trying to get into 1 lane. I think if I change these to yeah, let's just try that. Let's do that while I'm here. Right. Have a look at this. So we'll change that to, and we'll put that to that one. And we'll put that to that one. And this can go to that one and that one. Let's see what difference that makes. That might help. Then perhaps they won't be all trying to climb into 1 lane. That's really weird why they're doing that. That's odd. Don't understand that at all. Why would they do that? Let's just have a look at that junction there. No, there's nothing going on there. I haven't got any yeah. Weird. Anyway. Oh well, they can fight out amongst themselves. I'll sort that out in a minute. I forgot where I was. I think I was talking about visitors, wasn't I? So as you notice, I've got loads and loads of interesting stuff for visitors to look at. And it's not just here as well, it's dotted around all over the city. Even if you come all the way over here, I think I've got... yeah, even this. Mall of Moderation. I think that's a cheap place. It's a bit like Lidl's or Quick Save or whatever you want to call it. Quick Save, that's going back a bit. Anyway, so again, here we have rubbish incinerators or garbage incinerators, and they are well out of the way of polluting things. So, right, okay, so you've got to start. You have to, if you're going to have shops and whatever else. You see these guys, these shops, you can see them flashing blue. There's quite a lot of them doing it. I have got a situation going on now, and it's only started recently, where they're all complaining that I haven't got enough goods to sell. And it is getting frustrating because it doesn't seem to matter what goes on. I've got 2 cargo airports going, and I've got industry going, which we'll have a look at in a minute. And I don't seem to be able to satisfy this need that they have constantly got, and are constantly complaining about not having enough goods to sell. So if anyone's got any tips on that, let me know, because it's getting really aggravating. Anyway, there's a nice little train on his way down to the airport, and he's going to come up just here, and he's going to drop off and pick up in there. So importing and exporting is very, very good. It's the same over here. This is another cargo airport. This one is only looked after by road services, but the this one has got road and rail. And over here there is another one. Well, this is just a cargo train station, which is bringing goods in and out of the city. This creates a lot of congestion up and down this road, but I've managed it just by simply directing the traffic around certain areas and banning cars, particularly because cars take up a lot of room in certain areas, to make sure that we don't get clogged up. So that's about the size of that, really. That's the transport system all taken care of. Let's just go over here now. As you can see, I've got another cargo terminal for trains just over here. This is my industrial area. I've got 2 things going on here, and I'm quite new to this as well, because I only actually bought the industries update, or the what do they call that, expansion, last week. So I'm quite new to this, and I've sort of fiddled about, and I've sort of made it work, if you like. So what we've got is, I've got timber and I've got farming. Timber never seems to make a great deal of profit. I don't know why. There's something I'm not getting right about that. So I'm going to have to do a bit of research. And anyone watching this, if they want to throw in any in the comments and just let me know where I might be going wrong. Could be due to where I've set up the road networks. Not sure. I mean, the traffic seems to flow okay, so I don't see any reason why we should be struggling. But the profits are never very high, and sometimes that goes into a loss. It just doesn't seem to make any difference. And I don't know, it doesn't make any difference. It doesn't seem to make any difference what I do. I don't know whether it's because I need more resources, like forestry going on, trees and stuff like that. I've got no idea why that's sitting wonky like that. That was, yeah, so I'll fix that another time. So here I've got various bits and pieces. I think that's old cotton. What we got there? Potatoes, corn, wheat. I think I need more wheat fields. I think I've got a couple more over there because the flour mill often, oh, that's the sawmill. Come on, what are you doing? The flour mill often runs out of resources. Not quite sure why that is. Storage, I've got storage is usually there's only 9 tons in there. 84. And so on. So the storage is not too bad. Animal products. So we're doing all right now. Oh yeah, we've got the usual. That's sheep. Is it sheep? Yeah. Pigs in that one. Cows, wet cows, very damp cows by the looks of things. I don't know what it is about this area that I've chosen to build this city, but I can tell you that it rains a lot. It rains more here than it seems to do in London, in England. So, which is God knows why. Anyway, so that's that. So yeah, when we look at the farm. Oh yeah, this is my youngest boy. He decided that he wanted to name this farm. As you can see, that's the imaginings of an 11-year-old. Right. See, this is only showing at the moment 8,000, but I've actually seen this up at 15 to 20,000 a week, so I'm not particularly concerned about this. Flour again, look, see? It's not putting anything out on the flour front at the moment. I've got no idea why that is. And we need it, and I'll tell you why we need it, because over here, let's go over here, we have a bakery. And guess what the bakery needs? Not enough special goods. What's going on then? Don't quite understand why, because the farm is producing it. I know we're low on flour. Well, they got stacks of flour in there anyway. And they certainly don't need animal products, because there's stacks of animal products. Unless I don't have any in storage. What we got here? What's in there? Flour. Farming products. Don't know what that is. Animal products. Well, there's 80 tons of animal products in there, so how can that not be enough? Unless I've got this too far away from the, I think that might be the answer. I'll have to address this in a minute. And see if we can sort that out. So that's that. Anyway, so that's about the size of this city. So I'm not going to do any more with this city on videos. What I'm going to do actually is I'm going to start building a new city, and I'm going to do a video. I'm going to video all of that, and see if I can make a better city than this one. This one's doing really well. It's just got to the point now where I've got things going on that I don't seem to be able to fix, and I'm hoping that with a bit of help from perhaps people who watch the videos, I might be able to find some answers. I could do a lot of research on YouTube and probably find the answers that way, but I think sometimes it's more fun to find out myself. And if you guys are watching this and you want to help out, then that's great. So okay, right, well, that's the end of this one. We won't come back to this one anymore, unless of course I find something really interesting to show you about it, because I will keep working on it, but just for now we'll call it quits on this one, and in the next video will be about starting a new city, so we'll see how that goes. Thanks for watching, and if you like this, obviously do the usual, subscribe, hit the like button, and we'll see how we go. Thanks for watching.